You've probably been told to make a birth plan. And if you're a planner by nature, used to managing your time, communicating clearly, and staying on top of details, you probably want to make one. Something that says, this is what matters to me. This is how I want to be treated. This is what I hope this experience will feel like. But here's the part most people don't tell you. In labor, things can and often do change. So, the plan that gives you a sense of control now can become a source of frustration later if it's too rigid, too long, or not grounded in what really matters. That's why I'm going to show you how to make a birth plan that actually helps. One that centers your values, speaks your truth, and travels with you, no matter what kind of birth unfolds. Okay, let's get this out of the way. A birth plan isn't a sign you're controlling. It's a sign you're thoughtful. You care about this experience. You want to be informed. But here's where it gets tricky. Most birth plans get written like a menu, not a conversation. I see it all the time. Moms show up with a detailed list. No epidural, no Pitocin, delayed cord clamping, skin to skin only. But then, labor progresses differently. Or the baby's heart rate drops. Or a C-section becomes the safest route. And suddenly, that list becomes a mirror reflecting everything she didn't get to do. It becomes grief, or guilt, or shame. And that's never the point. From a nurse perspective, we don't dismiss your plan. We scan for what helps us support you. But in a fast-moving environment, what matters most is clarity, not quantity. You don't need 20 preferences. You need the 3 or 4 that ground you in your why. So, what I tell moms is this: you're not planning for perfection. You're preparing to stay connected to yourself, no matter how things evolve. A lot of birth plan templates focus on procedures. But what we really want to know, what we'll listen for, are your values. What do you need in order to feel safe? What language supports you or derails you? Do you want to be coached or have space to process first? Are there any past experiences, personal, medical, emotional, that we should be aware of? You don't have to share every detail, but if something matters to your mental well-being, or if you've had a traumatic health encounter in the past, write that down, or better yet, say it. Clinically, most nurses review a birth plan once, at the start of the shift. The ones we remember are clear, brief, and personal. I always remember the mom who wrote, "Please speak to me directly, even if my partner answers first." Or, "I had a traumatic pelvic exam years ago. Please narrate clearly before any checks." That kind of birth plan is not only useful, it's protective. You don't need to sound medical. You need to sound like someone who knows herself and invites collaboration. If what I'm saying is resonating, go ahead and grab the free birth preference worksheet below. It will help you turn this into something concrete you can bring to your next appointment. High-functioning women, especially first-time moms, often equate a good birth with one that goes according to plan. But let me tell you something I've learned after 2 decades at the bedside. The most empowered births are not always the ones that went right. They're the ones where the mom was informed, involved, and heard, even if the outcome looked different than expected. Here's what that can sound like. Can we pause before making a decision? Can you explain what my options are in this moment? What would happen if we wait 30 minutes? What's the benefit versus risk if we change course. That is authentic leadership. It creates space for flexibility without sacrificing your voice. I tell moms, you don't have to micromanage your birth. You just need to stay in the room with your agency. Instead of writing a checklist of how birth should go, try using a framework. My top 3 birth priorities are: these are non-negotiable values, not outcomes. For example, to be spoken to with respect, to be included in all the decision making, to have uninterrupted time with my baby if medically safe. I prefer to avoid. These are preferences, not demands. For example, I'd like to avoid Pitocin unless truly needed. Please avoid the word failure if labor stalls. No visitors until I've had skin to skin. If plans shift, please support me by narrating clearly before any procedures, making sure I have time to ask questions, explaining why something is recommended so I feel informed. This kind of plan doesn't lock you in. It gives your team a map, one that's easy to read and respects you as a person, not just a patient. Want help putting that together? I created a birth preference worksheet you can download right below. It's short, mom-friendly, and rooted in your values, not just your hopes. The reason this matters, the reason I want you to hear all of this before labor, is because how you're treated during birth affects how you recover after. I've watched moms spiral for weeks, not because of the C-section, or the induction, or the epidural, but because they felt dismissed, or uninformed, or completely unprepared for how fast things change. You don't need everything to go perfectly, but you deserve to walk away from your birth saying, I was there. I was part of it. I was respected. That's what carries into postpartum. That's what supports healing. Not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually too. What I tell every mom is, the goal is not to get the birth you planned. The goal is to feel like the person giving birth mattered, regardless of how she gave birth. You can have preferences. You can prepare deeply. You can hope for a beautiful experience. And you can also create room for the unexpected without losing your voice, your dignity, or your calm. A proper birth plan is a communication tool. It doesn't control labor. It connects you to the people supporting you so you feel seen, heard, and protected as you bring your baby into the world. To help you create a birth experience that aligns with your values, not someone else's expectation, I created a free birth preference worksheet. This isn't a rigid plan or a hospital script. It's a clarity tool designed to help you get grounded, get clear, and communicate your preferences with confidence. Use it now before appointment get overwhelming and your brain is juggling everything else. It's a powerful way to advocate for yourself without having to figure it all out on the spot. You can download it below and use it to guide real conversations with your provider or your doctor, your partner, and your care team with purpose and not pressure. Don't wait until the 3rd trimester fog kicks in. Click below to download your free birth preference worksheet and take your first step to empowered delivery. Once your birth preferences are clear, the next step is knowing what to expect after delivery. Watch this video next. I'll walk you through the emotional, physical, and hormonal shifts that happen once your baby is in your arms. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this helped you feel more centered and less overwhelmed about how to prepare for birth, I'd love for you to subscribe and continue building a recovery that works for you. You don't need a rigid plan. You need a structure that supports your strength. I'm Cherry, and I will see you in the next one.